Be greeted, saints, in the name of Jesus Christ. This is your brother in the faith, Loiso the Dreamer. We have another dream session once more. We are sitting at the dreamer's couch to speak the dream language with the dream family. Saints, you know that anything that has to do with dream, it is me. I breathe it, I live it. It's my lifestyle, it's my passion. So I just like to inspire people. But now we are taking a different approach in these days. We don't only speak the dream language or speak about the dream themes like I've been doing in 2020 in different churches that I've been going to. Now we are actually getting detailed and dealing on one by one topics according to what I've spoken about in the book and in different spaces and chapters that I've spoken about. Okay, one of the things that I spoke about in the previous segment, I spoke about myself having a not so good past. I spoke about whatever things that I did, and one of the things which I mentioned at the end, which I didn't go deeper on, which I want to go deeper on now, is actually gender-based violence. It's being abusive. I used to be abusive to women. Unfortunately, I had little knowledge then compared to the knowledge that I have now. I used to use my hand to hit women. I have a few that I can think of now that I hit, unfortunately. You won't even believe me when I tell you that even after I got born again, I had to go back to those people and apologize to them for things that I've done years back when I was still not born again. Because when I realized and remembered the impact of what I did, it had to take me to humble myself, even when I was already in the born-again cycles and being known as a preacher and a singer. I had to go back to some of them to say sorry for having abused you. Now I'm still specifically talking about physical abuse, which is to hit, to beat someone. I used to beat people. I'm not proud of that, and I've never laid a hand on anyone now ever since I got born again, including on hitting my wife. I've never hit her. I've never hit any lady now, any female. And it does not mean situations that are provoking me to do that are not there. It doesn't mean the things that people do or say are always making me to feel good and not being provoked to say and do whatever. But I think I've learned now the discipline and the art of self-control. And also it got to be realistic in me now. When I saw people as a pastoral counselor, life coach, mentor, motivational speaker who would sometimes see people through the sessions, taking them through healing and deliverance processes, hearing different kinds of gender-based violence stories, it got to be real to me. People are going through the most out there. Unfortunately, we put the brave eye before the people just so that we can be acceptable and not wanting to show off with our dirty laundry in the public eye. But if you can go to behind closed doors, if you can insert some spy cameras on different homes where abuse is rife and real among Christians, unfortunately, you'll be shocked at what is happening. So I'm not saying this because I'm boastful, since I am telling you that for 20 plus years in my life, ever since I've lived for Christ, I've not laid a hand on anyone in terms of beating and being physically abusive on anyone. But it does not mean that I'm exempted from all forms of abuse. Unfortunately, abuse goes beyond just physical abuse. There is also financial abuse. Some people are abusive to others financially, especially those who are privileged financially. Let's say you're in a relationship, the other one earns more than the other one who earns more would sometimes suppress and oppress the one that brings little or nothing in the house. So, or the other one who does not bring much would feel intimidated unnecessarily and decide to use a defense mechanism which is abusive towards the one who earns more, even without a reason. So there's different kinds of abuse. In the area of finances now, specifically, I'm talking about finances. There's also another kind of abuse, which is verbal abuse. Unfortunately, this is the one that most of us fall under, because we sometimes get angry and let our emotions get the better of us. It's an ongoing struggle that all of us, we are struggling with, we are going through. We are always trying our best to speak the right things, to say right things, to do the right things to people. But there are times, unfortunately, where we find ourselves saying things that are hurtful, saying things that are abusive and emotionally wrenching to the hearts of people. It happens a lot among couples, because you see in the couples playground, or in the couples territory, there is a lot of sensitivity when it comes to words. There are words that I could say to an outsider and they would not hurt them, they would not offend them. But when I say those words in my house, they get to be offensive to my partner. Same applies to what she says and does to me. An example is that when I phone my wife and I don't get her on the phone, I get frustrated and I get impatient, and I don't even want to understand the reasons why she can't be reached, whether she's in a meeting or she's driving or what. I don't want to know. I just want to find her whenever I want her, because I feel offended when I phone and I don't get her, or I get to voicemail. But when I phone a random stranger that I have no relationship with, I don't care. So in other words, in relationship, when you can sometimes evaluate the things that people are offending each other on, you find that there's small things when you look at it with a naked eye or with an external viewpoint as someone who doesn't stay in that house. But truth is, love is sensitive, really. Love it just wants to hear good things. It just wants to hear positive things. Even the tone of your voice when it comes to the issues of love, it makes a big difference. Sometimes you say the right thing, but now the approach is not good. Sometimes you say the right words, but in a wrong tone. It does not make it, it makes it wrong, even though the words are right and what you say is right, but how you say it well. That's verbal abuse. This is just shallow. I'm talking about shallow stuff, I've not yet gone to the big, heavy stuff where it's literally a verbal abuse, where someone has a serious verbal diarrhea, saying hurtful things deliberately, demeaning the other, even using swear words, even using curse words. Now that one is not what we're talking about here. That one is also there. And if you have issues that you're dealing with, which are pushing you to that level, you need deliverance. You need to be helped. You need to get professional help if it's an emotional matter. You need to get a spiritual deliverance if it's a spiritual matter. I'm just talking about general carelessness of words that we use and you realize, and the only way to rectify those is to have that constant evaluation of ourselves and always go back to the people that we've hurt and apologize. But now the one who has a deliberate mouth diarrhea of saying things that are demeaning, things that are hurtful to others, you are not off the hook. I'm not doing this video to justify for you. You need to repent, and you need to go to people that you've hurt and apologize, and you need to ask God to help your tongue so that it can speak right things. Especially if you call yourself a Christian and you are born again, you need to get the deliverance of your tongue. You need to get your tongue needs to be saved. You must be saved. Emlonyeni wakho. Because mnanithetha ngento is normal. I'm just talking about normal day-to-day misunderstandings over different views, different ideas, or maybe it's a heated agreement. I mean, a heated argument, maybe disagreements here and there, and you find yourself saying that word that you're not supposed to say, light stuff and all. But now, if it's your lifestyle, when every time you always deliberately say things that are just, even people are afraid to be in your space or approach you or even talk to you or even associate with you because they know that you have a diarrhea in your mouth, you need help. You need help. Verbal abuse must fall, physical abuse must fall, financial abuse must fall, emotional abuse must fall, all forms of abuse must fall. There's another kind of abuse which I won't get into details on because I know that the country is not ready, the world is not ready to hear about it. On the gender-based violence kind of an abuse. It is an abuse of the male species, by the female counterparts. There are men that are overpowered by their wives. Some are drunkards, so they are weak. They don't have the balance, they don't have the strength, and they are beaten by their wives. They are physically beaten and overpowered by their wives. And it's a shame for those men to even go and open a case. Some men are even raped by females. They can open cases. That's abuse. But we are not ready to talk about that. Since 95 or 90% of the time it's men who abuse and rape and beat and do all the wrong things to women. But I want you to have a thought in your mind. If you want to say anything about this, you are free to say it. But that's another kind of abuse that we don't ever speak about. Even with verbal abuse, when we try to do a conflict resolution, let's say between a couple, husband and wife, most of the time, because the female counterpart is emotional and they will cry, and we will attend to the fact that they are crying and not really focus now on the content of what was it. And you find that most of the words which were hurtful came more from her side than from his side. But because we focus more on her, we don't, and we try to make it good and focus on the wrongs of him that made her to cry. And we end up not nursing the pain of him versus because of the things that she said. And we think men are not emotional beings. Let me tell you, men are more emotional than women. I know you've never heard anyone say this, but I'm telling you the truth now. It's just that women, they excel in expressing those emotions. They excel in expressing those feelings. They excel in finding that one friend, one person to confide in when they feel that the emotional part is hurt and they are boiling inside. Tina, our weakness is that we keep things inside. We always want to show a brave face. We want to be strong. We want to be the Superman. But we are the ones who are more emotional. So much that when our own emotions are now starting to manifest, they are manifested in a way of anger. We roar like lions. We beat people. We kill people. We do all wrong things. We might have grown under abusive circumstances in our background. Now we are portraying that abuse to other people. We are continuing with the cycle of abuse. You see? So that's how we have been modeled to see the world according to how we've been raised. Instead of talking about those issues like women would do, we would rather act out. Most people who are criminals today, most people who are rapists today, most people who are murderers today, most people who are abusers today, if you can find out and have a track record of their past, most of what they do is as a result of what happened in their past, which they never dealt with, because men are not able to deal with their emotions. They are the most emotional beings. You see, it's not an easy thing to take a step of killing yourself and committing suicide. And as you know, most suicides are done by men. That's their own way of expressing their emotions, expressing their anger, expressing how they feel inside. They do it, they excel, but in a negative way. Of females, Bona, they excel in a positive way by seeking professional help, having prayer groups, having counseling sessions, and all the good things that are supposed to be done. Tina, we don't do all those, we do the opposites. We would rather find the weakest link around you, someone that you will overpower and beat. Not because you wanted to beat them, not because they've done or said anything, but you were angry before you met that person, but you happened to take out anger 25 years ago, which you should have dealt with then. We tata gumdo innocent, because that's how you express your emotions. We just need someone to give us emotional intelligence as men to deal with our issues. But we would also love for the society to start also to work towards assisting us, and not put all these very, very, very high standards towards us, where we are not supposed to cry, we're not supposed to show the weakness, we must be strong, and all of those things. Those are really, we need this men's conference that has been a joke in this country. It really needs to happen. And in the men's conference, we don't need someone who's going to be a speaker or a superstar, or someone who's going to tell us about 10 steps to what, or relationship expert. We don't need any of those things. We don't need someone who's going to tell us about how to manage our finances. We know all those things, whether we do them or we don't, but we know all of them. We just need to close ourselves off without females being there, without our children being there, just alone as men. Have moments to just open our hearts and just cry. And give the loudest cry ever. It should be a place that is far away from people, so that our base and our Twitter cries, our bass cries, our soprano cries, our alto cries, and our tenor cries, no one will hear us. No one will look at us with shame and hear us and feel that we are less of men. Because we are not less of a man when you cry. Sometimes we just need to cry our miseries off. We just need to cry ourselves off from the pain that we have. We don't need counseling. Sometimes we don't even need counseling. We don't need coaching. All these things. We don't need any of those things. We just need to be given an opportunity to just cry. That thing you were supposed to do when you were still a boy child, when you were younger, which you were told, hey, the boy doesn't cry, I keep quiet. You have arrears of cries, of tears. You just need to cry your way out of your pain. You just need to be allowed to release that pain, to release that fear, to release that anxiety, to release that panic attack. I know these are mostly things we associate with women, but it's shaya kakhulu thina. That's why we commit suicide more than they do, because as stated, we are boiling inside. We need healing. If we want to have a healed nation, we need to have healed men, because men are in a position of influence. We are the ones who start the relationship, even dating-wise and marriage-wise, most of the time, though women also start it these days. But in normal circumstances, we are the ones who initiate love. So we start people there, people not knowing us, people not having any emotions or feelings towards us or not loving us. We start initiating love, and at the end we treat them bad, not because we wanted to do it, but because we were not ready to accommodate people in our lives when we had our own issues that we have not dealt with. Now we are taking off our issues to people that are healed. We give them our sickness. We are infecting them with our poison that we didn't deal with. God bless you.